Aussie.
Hello, boys and girls. Just garnishing my drink with myself an old-fashioned. Put the orange peel in. You know what? I think I deserve a maraschino cherry. Hello, Luke. Hello, Aussie Gun Bunny. Got my jar open. Got to try and spear a cherry. Got one first go. They can be slippery little suckers. Sorry, there's just a weird noise. I think it's one of the cats outside the window. Yes, Luke, that was meant to be Frank Walker then. Doing good. Sorry, I just got distracted. Cats making weird noises outside the window. Stirring in the cocktail. Gee, I could try and do the classy sort of garnish, which I almost never do. If I fish out the orange peel and the cherry, rather than just sitting it in there, I gotta spear the orange peel, then spear the cherry, then spear. Don't let bartenders do this to you, by the way. And then you sit that on top. Oh, God. I can throw it on my nose. And you look really classy. Anyway, because I'm a classy motherfucker, I'll just put that in there. Oh, my goodness. My hair's getting longer because we've been locked down and haven't been able to get haircuts for months. Not that I've obviously growing it out, but had 2 trims in the last 18 months. Last one was probably 6 months ago now. Was it that long ago? I don't know. I absolutely lose track of time. I don't know when. At least 4 or 5 months ago, micro USB. Oh dear. Right. I'm just going to. It's a fucking computer wants to restart again for a Windows update. Fuck off. You better not do it during there. Yes, that's right, micro USB. Because it's Talk Like a Pirate Day. So, are there, matey? So I was thinking, Bunny, yours is down to ear length. No, look, I'm not doing it myself. Same as and this was a completely arbitrary decision during COVID. I just stopped coloring my hair, so it's in its natural grey splendor. First time I haven't dyed my hair in 20 years. So, right, that's what I was doing. I was going to open the camera controls. So I looked slightly less pallid. For some reason, the settings this camera defaults to, the white balance is a bit out. It makes me look even more pallid than I actually am. That's slightly more flesh toned. A bit more saturation, maybe? A bit more. There we go. And then maybe fiddle with the focus a little. Take it way out of focus. And then it kind of looks... That looks in focus, I think. I was going in my walks at the bottom of your ears. Oh, dear. Oh, damn. Micro USB working overnight. I can completely believe that is garbage. So I've worked late shifts, but never actually fully overnight. You'd rather let Bill Cosby chill with your mum more than you'd rather work overnights. Yeah. Oof. Yeah. No, I feel you. It's not great. All right. So yeah, Luke, you've got a mate who works at a Coles service station overnight. Aussie Gum Bunny. It's done overnights for a big telco. Yeah, it's not great. Not great. Like I said, I've never done full on overnight for a job, but I have done late shifts. Aussie Gum Bunny, you like the money? I would imagine the money's a bit better. Yeah. Mm. Man, I made this bottled old fashioned. I made it really spicy with some cinnamon syrup. It's good. I'm not disliking it, but man, the cinnamon syrup really is in there. Hey, Megaleech, how's it going? So, micro USB, all your jobs since 18 overnighters, 26 now. And you have to work them 2 days, but that's 2 days too many. Oh, got to get in day things. See, micro USB, we have better labour laws in Australia than you do in the US. To work a legit job on an overnight shift here would actually get you quite a bit of loading. So, yes, the way labour laws are perverted in the US is, well, it's quite criminal in my mind. But that's why things cost more here, because people are paid closer to a living wage in minimum wage jobs, which is as it should be. The concept that someone could work full time and yet still not be able to afford to live is just absolutely fucked to me. And yeah, micro USB, I agree. Every other developed country has better labor laws than the US. I mean, Jeff Bezos should be in prison until everyone in this Amazon supply chain is paid a living wage, because he can afford it. It's just bullshit. Oh yeah, Luke, the gig economy is a fucking scam. Again, also criminal. So Aussie Gum Bunny, 15% loading for the first month, 30% after. There you go. That's why it's worth doing it. Oh wow, Marco, the way your vacations work is bullshit. You've been working here. I think you had a slip on. I assume you meant like 2019. Haven't earned your week yet. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So if you work a full-time job in Australia, you get 4 weeks paid leave a year, and if you're like, actually, casuals probably don't get any, but there's permanent part-time where you get pro rata. So if you worked 2 days a week, you would get 8 days paid leave a year. All these scammers are trying to undermine and subvert the patings. I added a bit of vanilla liqueur to this, actually, just for fun. And first I thought I couldn't taste it, but the more I sip, the more I go, oh no, the vanilla is definitely there. It's quite nice. Smoker Speed, were you every year you work, you get a week, but if you later fired back to zero, yeah, it's bullshit. The exploitation of workers is just bullshit. I was the company, you got achy bones, spent the day working on the yard. Yeah, that'll do it. It's been not that I do a lot of yard work anyway, I have to admit, but it was like raining and shit today, so no yard work today. Marcus B, some people have a month off vacation, but only after a decade of working. God damn. Hey, Raiders, how's it going? Yes. No, basically, you accrue leave in permanent jobs from the day you start in them here. So, yeah, if you work full time, you get 4 paid weeks a year. That's what a lot of people don't realize. Basic work conditions were literally earned with workers' blood. Unions and workers' collectives striking together and being attacked and brutalized and murdered by the overlords. That's been the norm around the world. So, yeah. And hello, Safa. Michael has been there. Just start a revolution, brother. I mean, there was a borderline civil war in was it West Virginia in the early 20th century in a mining town. And when I say borderline civil war, US troops were deployed to put down the workers, and there was armed resistance. So it pretty much meets the definition of a civil war, but it's quite small scale. And to the best of my knowledge, not really taught in US schools that, hey, workers can rise up if they want to. Fun and games. But it's the same as this. I mean, Australia is completely blind to, the various genocides and exploitation the colonizers here have done, through to, the cane fields in Queensland being run on slave labor, laborers that were kidnapped from the Pacific Islands and forced to work the cane fields. Fucked up shit, yo. And they, in fact, they were treated worse than slaves in the US, because at least slavery in the US was legal, so it had a structure that you had to follow. Because slavery was illegal in Australia, no one admitted they were enslaving these people, and so it was completely unregulated because there was no slavery. So it was worse, essentially. But yeah. And yeah, how's it going, Bunny? Townsville's named after a slave trader. The city of Townsville, to quote the Powerpuff Girls. But it's yes, Australian history literally whitewashed. I think most countries are guilty of glossing over the bad stuff and trying to focus on good stuff. But Mark SB found it interesting. US treatment of natives and slaves always brought up, like, what happened to the natives of Australia? Oh, yeah, dude, fucking genocided is what happened in Australia, man. Absolutely. And like I said, the slavery in Australia was effectively, it wasn't as widespread and didn't last as long, but where it was occurring is essentially worse than slavery in the US because it wasn't legal. So there was no regulation at all because no one was admitting it was happening. And, the fucking frontier wars, armed resistance, and that's the other thing. People pretend there was no armed resistance. Armed resistance to the colonizers lasted from first landings through to the 1920s. The border wars didn't really stop till the 1920s. And that is absolutely not taught in Australian schools. Henry, hello. Oh, God, you got stuck in the border lockdown. God, it seems like now we've got to hold out to about November. If everyone keeps getting vaccinated, which I think people will, we got to wait till like November, maybe December, for things to be kind of okay. Hopefully we don't have major outbreaks and things are kind of okay and we can all move around again. Aussie Gun Bunny, the waterfall incident in Tasmania. I don't think I know that one. There's too many of these fucking things to keep up with. Micro, there's a deeper, a stupid thought question, depending how you view it. Okay, go for it. Aussie Gun Bunny, by 6th of October, you'll be fully 5G ready. Yep, you got to wait a little while for the second one. I got it on like 4 weeks ago. I'm like powered the fuck up now. Greg, how is it going, sir? Good to see you. So yeah, I've powered up. The offspring have all had their first shots. It'll probably be, I don't know, 3-4 weeks before they qualify for second shots. It's all going. Henry, you're a descendant of the South Sea Islander blackbirding trade. Yeah. Isn't that a quaint name for kidnapping and slavery? blackbirding. That's what it's called, for those who've never heard of it. They referred to the kidnapping of Pacific Islanders and enslaving them to work in the Queensland cane fields. They called it blackbirding. It was kidnapping and enslavement. And as I said, it was illegal. At least not this is a defense, but slavery in the US was legal and was working under a particular framework. The slavery in Australia was illegal, and so no regulation whatsoever. So the more you know. And it's kind of like England, from a certain point of view, only banned slavery to try and make the Belgians look bad. Yeah. Micro, do I think other nations conquering all the lower tribes nations through our history is just a natural thing? When were the Europeans able to progress to guns, but other nations couldn't? Oh, there's a book I have to finish reading, actually. And this, I'll throw in answer to micro USB, but going out to everyone, there's a book, and I don't know, it was written like 20, 30 years ago. And I read the first sort of quarter of it, and it's fucking fascinating. I've got to finish it. It's called Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond. It's a work of academic merit where he's researched and he's asked that exact question. Why did some cultures conduct conquest? Why did some cultures have agriculture and some didn't? And like you said, the big things that let colonizers conquer the world was guns, germs, and steel. The germs would have been accidental in most cases, but guns and steel certainly helped colonizers take over the world. And like I said, the first quarter of it that I've read is fascinating because he's trying to investigate, well, look at this part of the world. Look what's happening. What about this? What about this? And it is absolutely worth it. Oh, Micro's taken some fools to the airport. Safe driving. I assume that's what you're doing. Celtic, are we starting a pirate cult? Pirates, yeah. And this is the weird thing. When you look up the history, pirates were more democratic than the British Navy, for instance. They exist at the same time. The British Navy would literally kidnap people. It's called press ganging. So we're just talking about Pacific Islanders being kidnapped in Australia. Poorer people would be press ganged, and I mean white people. Poorer white people would be press ganged into being in the British Navy, and they sort of had no rights at all. Pirates were much more democratic than the British Navy. So yeah. So our pirate cult will be very democratic, egalitarian. I'm head pirate, okay? But hopefully everyone supports that. Henry, you are absolutely right. Germ warfare has been used by colonizers deliberately and repeatedly. You are definitely right. From colonizers in the US giving native peoples smallpox-infested blankets. Actually, the wildest one I heard, and I'm not the greatest at history, so this might just be an anecdote that doesn't have much solid evidence behind it. But I read a thing that one of the reasons the plague got into Europe is there was sort of wars on the Silk Road between the Chinese Empire and various European empires. And in one of the sieges, the Chinese had worked out that infected animals could infect humans, and they catapulted plague-infected animals over the walls of a fort that the Europeans were in, and gave them all the plague, and they ran away, and they took the plague back to Europe. There you go. Sabri, Friday night's the only night that I tend to fall asleep. And I didn't last Friday night, but I did the Friday before. I'm having a drinky tonight, but I have work tomorrow, so I'm not having lots of drinkies. Oh, Henry, your missus is the descendant of a famous Scottish pirate. Nice. I'm the descendant of three brothers. Well, okay, I'm only the descendant of one of them, but three brothers were transported to Australia because they were highwaymen. They were a gang who held up stagecoaches in England, and they were caught, convicted, and transported. And after they served their time, they moved out to Western New South Wales, the area where I was born and grew up, and they became respected members of the squattocracy, which is pretty funny. Ooh, Aussie Gun Bunny, you're going to sing us a song if we do that later. Song about the recruiting process of the British Army. The Pogues had a great one about the recruiting sergeant, which is probably not the one you're talking about. That maybe it is. But Luke, you are absolutely right. Work won't know if I'm hungover. I actually have a couple meetings tomorrow, but I don't turn the camera on for them. Oh shit, that's a bit dark. Oh, I heard that, Henry. Yeah, a miner died recently. Oh man, that's fucking dark. Again, just generally, deaths in. Oh, sorry, I got excited then. Not excited about industrial deaths. Deaths in building sites, in mines, and other work sites. Bad thing. Aussie Gun Bunny. It is the Pogues one. The recruiting sergeant. I love that song. I won't get the lyrics up. Who wants me and Aussie Gun Bunny to sing that song together? Oh, nice. Henry, you're the descendant of the Paramount Chief clan of the Ambron Island. Nice. Aussie Gun Bunny, you prefer the Dreadnought version. I'll bring up the lyrics, man. We'll serenade everyone and sing it together, which will be just terrifying, I think. I think you'll be okay. I do not have a good singing voice. That may be so, says I. So. Okay, now I want to bring up the lyrics. Pogues recruiting sergeant. On the album, If I Should Fall from Grace of God, which is possibly my favorite Pogues album, it's actually a medley of two different songs. Where are the lyrics? As I was walking down the road, I feeling fine and larky, oh. Recruiting sergeant came up to me, said, "Gee, you looking fine and cocky, oh. The king is in need of man, can read this proclamation, oh. A life in Flanders for you then would be a fine vacation, oh." Okay, me and Aussie Gun Bunny gotta sing it later. Oh, Christ. Raiders, those fuckhead protesters. Yeah, I'm sure John Farnham was slightly mortified by being associated with them. Oh, yeah, no, Henry, there is that song, The Recruiting Sergeant, is oh, Aussie Gun Bunny. Okay. Maybe it's a different one. Because the lyrics of this one that the Pogues sing after that first verse, that may be so, says I to him, but tell me, Sergeant Deario, if I had a pack stuck on me back, would I look fine and cheerio? For they'd have you train and drill until they had you one of the Frenchies, oh. It may be warm in Flanders, but it's drafty in the trenches, oh. The sergeant smiled and winked his eye. His smile was most provoking, oh. He twiddled and twirled his wee moustache. Says he, I know you're joking, oh. For the sandbags are so warm and high, the wind you won't be feel blowing, oh. Well, I winked as a Keelan passing by, says I, what if it's snowing, oh. And this is the bit where the angry Irish comes in, which I fucking love because of my angry Irish heritage. Come rain or hail or wind or snow, I'm not going out to Flanders, oh. There's fighting in Dublin to be done. Let your sergeants and your commanders go. Let English men fight English wars. It's nearly time they started, oh. I saluted the sergeant a very good night, and there and then we parted, oh. That's my angry Irish heritage in there. Stella, hello, good evening. Lovely to see you, as always. Just singing rebel songs in here. I think there were several Pogue songs that got banned from the air on the BBC because they dared to say something in favor of Irish nationalists. And of course, that's the album that has possibly their most well-known song for non-Pogues fans, Fairy Tale of New York, which is beautiful. Our Thousands Are Sailing might be my favorite Pogue song. But there's also this one, Streets of Sorrow, the Birmingham Six. There were 6 men in Birmingham, and Guildford there's 4 that were picked up and tortured and framed by the law. And the filth got promotion, but they're still doing time for being Irish in the wrong place and at the wrong time. These are songs that got banned from the BBC because it dared to say, hey, you know what? Maybe the IRA fucking bombed civilians, but British colonizers, they killed a fuckload of people. All right, Aussie Gun Bunny, I'm definitely going to bring you on. Sing a song. I haven't heard. Where's my fucking phone? Okay, excuse me for 1 second, just in case AIDS's been trying to call me. I'm just going to get my phone. I don't have. I found my phone. I don't have a text from AIDSy, but lucky I picked up my phone because I got a package pending. I should go to the website called borsagoran.com and click on a link that definitely won't install malware on my phone. Thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to send AIDSy the link just in case he's there. Stella, the British Army and the British government, with its policies, killed millions of Irish over the years through famine and just by actual shooting. They certainly killed thousands. But through their policies, which caused famines, they're responsible for millions of deaths. I'm just going to send this to AIDSy in case he wants to join. Oh, yeah, those scam texts are fucking mad. There's so many of them. All right, I'm going to also, this is one of my favorite ever Pogue songs. Thousands Are Sailing is about the Irish diaspora. And this started with the potato famine, which was a direct result of English policy. Like a third of the population of Ireland either died or emigrated because life was so intolerable. So yeah, no, this verse, we said good. This is about Irish immigrants in New York. And we said good night to Broadway, giving it our best regards, tipped our hats to Mr. Cohen, dear old Times Square's favorite bard. Then we raised a glass to JFK and a dozen more besides. When I got back to my empty room, I suppose I must have cried. It's just, oh my God. That's the lyrics of Shane MacGowan. He is such a poet. He's amazing. Last, I saw a video of him. He seemed to have escaped decades of alcohol abuse without really paying that big a cost. But I saw a video of him recently on some guys. He's clearly got, I don't know if he's had an actual stroke or if it's just an acquired brain injury finally catching up with him from decades of alcohol abuse. It was on some show. He could barely talk, which was sad, but also nothing. Stella, was it half? It could have been half, Stella. It was at least a third of the Irish population either died or emigrated during the potato famine. Somewhere from a third to a half of the Irish population died or emigrated due to the potato famine, which was a result of deliberate policy by the English. Henry, Irish are diminishing existing conditions established by the CMFU, detrimental to conditions. How are the Irish doing that, Henry? I didn't think the Irish had much influence. But you're a mine worker and a union man, and I actually literally want to hear what you have to say. Because when I say how, I'm literally asking the question. I'm saying, this is something I don't know. It probably sounded like I was being sarcastic. I think I sound sarcastic almost all the time. But this was one where it's like, okay, how? Because I want to know that. Luke, am I going to get iPhone 13? I am going to talk to Telstra and say, how about a new phone? Do you have any? Because this is an iPhone 10. That's how long since I've upgraded the phone. And I say, do you have any deals on an iPhone 12 that you're trying to get rid of? Because I'd go for that. Otherwise, what can you do me for an iPhone 13? But I'll get someone to because I've been a dude actually called me and gave me a better plan, and then they sent this thing that said, based on this interaction, how likely are you to recommend Telstra to a friend? And I replied, this is not a conversation that people have. People don't, recommend phone companies. Stop asking dumb questions. Mind you, this dude who gave me new plan, which saved me money and whatnot, it's the best interaction I've had with Telstra in like forever. So just trying to think, well, I have another one. I'm thinking my bottled old fashioned. Just trying to use it up really. It's probably two more in there. Blend it with a liqueur. What liqueur will I blend it with? Because I just had it with some vanilla, which was nice. And I know the limoncello. That would be I'm doing that. I'm doing it with limoncello. So, Henry, thousands, brother, you've worked all around Australia. They undercut Australian businesses. It brings 45%. Trust me, I've seen no nice tier 1 government jobs. I believe you. Because you're doing the working life. Marcus B, you're back. Hello, welcome back. Talk about how Coca-Cola is an American drink. Mexican Coke is where? Well, Mexican Coke still uses sugar as opposed to corn syrup. I think Australian Coca-Cola uses sugar as well. I don't think we use corn syrup here. I think we use sugar because it's bottled locally. This will be weird. I'm going to pour myself another old-fashioned and put half a shot of limoncello in it because I think that'll be weird. Henry, you're a crane operator. Okay. Again, I absolutely, definitely defer to your actual lived experience. I love that. Andrew on Facebook, grammatically correct pirate, when one of the first one goes, "The crew be ready, Captain," and the captain says, "Are," as in the crew are ready. That is an excellent pirate dad joke. Very on topic. Greatly appreciate it. So I'm gonna just pour this in there. Yeah, I thought there was 2 drinks in there. All right, so that's the old fashioned. Micro USB says Sky Crane operators make bank. Maybe. Henry could tell us. I'm just going to put half. Man, there's such a strong lime smell as soon as I open that bottle. I just think that'd be a fun little fruity twist to put on my old fashioned. Might be terrible. Who knows? I'm fucking experimenting. And no one can stop me. Stir it. Because I got my garnish. I can stir it with my garnish. Then my garnish is fucking flailing a bit. You go back in there. That's okay. The crane operators, staunch unionists. Good. Good. I'm so fucking pro-union. Raiders, that is an interesting question. How do we find out if the morons being fined are actually being forced to pay them? I have not heard what enforcement is in, because enforcement for fines can go right up to imprisonment. Marco, what did we lose about what meant in freedom language? Staunch unionists means diehard unionists. Very true. Abigail. Stella, you can't agree regarding Irish and Dakotan Australian wages. Yeah, because Stella works in mines too. Generally paid same as Australians, no different. Yeah, it confuses me, but that's all right. I am confused a lot of the time. That's just a thing. I'm confused a lot of the time. Okay, what time is it? 8:30. Oh, another old fashioned. Okay, now me and Aussie Gun Bunny are gonna sing a song. I don't know. Raiders, you saw an Age article said 2000 had been waived. I have no idea. I've not seen anything myself, so I'm not sure. All right, so I'm gonna put the link there. I mean, yeah, anyone can join, but primarily this is for Aussie Gun Bunny was going to come on and sing. Okay, do we have an Irish problem? No. Oh yeah, that's how your family was part of the Irish problem in the US. My family was part of the Irish problem in Australia, definitely. All right, Aussie Gun Bunny is still here. That's the link, the invitation to sing a song. Yeah, so my background is Scots-Irish. My dad's side is mostly Scottish. My mum's side is mostly Irish. Good spirit. Hello. Good morning to you. All right. Aussie Gun Bunny. How you doing, mate?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
All right. Set my stuff up. Hey,
All right. So was your recruiting song different to the one that I was talking about?
yeah, very different lyrics.
Okay.
Yeah. This one follows the story of a young recruit who ends up going overseas and loses his leg and his arm and gets sent home.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll sing it for you.
Yeah, okay. Go for it.
All right. A recruiting sergeant came our way from an inn near town at the close of day. He said, "My young man, would you like to march along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat and a musket at your shoulder? The shilling you took and you kissed the booker, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya?" The recruiting sergeant marched away from the inn near town at the break of day. Johnny came to with half a ring. He was off to be a soldier to go fighting for the king in a far-off war, in a far-off land, to face the foreign soldier. But how will you fare when there's lead in the air? Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? Well, the sun rose high on a barren land where the thin red line made a military stand. There was slingshot, chain shot, grape shot too, swords and bayonets thrusting through. Poor Johnny fell, but the day was run, and the king is grateful to you. But your soldiering's done, and they're sending you home. Oh, poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? Well, they said he was a hero and not to grieve for the two glowing legs and the empty sleeve. They took him home and they set him down with a military pension and a medal from the crown. But you haven't an arm, you haven't a leg, the enemy nearly slew ya. You'll have to go out on the streets and beg, oh poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? A recruiting sergeant came our way from the inn near town at the close of day. He said, "My Johnny, you're a fine young man. Would you like to march along behind a military band with a scarlet coat and a fine cocked hat and a musket at your shoulder? The shilling you took in a kiss of both, oh poor Johnny, what'll happen to ya? Oh Polly, love, oh Polly, the rout has now begun. And we must go a marching to the beating of the drum. Come dress yourself all in your best and come along with me. I'll take you to the cruel wars in high Germany. Oh Harry, dearest Harry, mind well what I do say. My feet they are so tender and I cannot march away. Besides, my dearest Harry, I am with child by day, not fitted for the cruel wars in high Germany. I'll buy you a horse, my love, and on it you shall ride, and all of my delight shall be walking at your side. We'll stop at every alehouse and drink when we are dry. Be true to one another, get married by and by. Oh, cursed be the cruel wars that ever they should rise, and out of merry England press many a man likewise. They took her Harry from her, likewise her brothers three, and sent them to the cruel wars in high Germany.
Okay, well, I loved that. That was fantastic. Loved it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was great. And Abigail wants to break out the clarinet. The clarinet's always welcome, Abigail. I'm just throwing it out there. But yeah, very different, but I loved it. I loved, again, these working class songs. Also reminded me of Eric Bogel's, the band played Waltzing Matilda as well. That's a great one. That the big line about, he's talking about how shit it is, and then a big Turkish shell blew me ass overhead when I awoke in me hospital bed. But it's basically saw that I had no legs, never knew there were worse things than dying.
Yeah.
But yes. Suffer to the Poms, hate everyone. It's not so much hate. Sometimes it's hate, but it's also radical indifference in a lot of times, in that they don't care who they put into the meat grinder, particularly if it's anyone from the colonies, but also the working class from the British Isles would be put into the meat grinder in various colonial conflicts all the time.
Absolutely.
So
that's what happened with the Boer War, wasn't it? With all the
Oh yeah. Again, good movie about the Boer War. Breaker Morant he was actually English, but he'd been living in Australia, and he was in the colonial forces in South Africa in the Boer War. And he and a couple of Australian compatriots were executed for war crimes. And it's basically they were just fighting guerrilla war, because the Boers were winning and ultimately won because they fought guerrilla war. And the British colonial forces at that point weren't up to fighting a guerrilla war. And this guy Morant and his sidekicks were, and they were playing merry havoc. And it was not quite cricket what they were doing. And yeah, they were playing the same way the Boers were playing, essentially. But yes, as an example, they were actually executed. But yeah. Safa, were Aussies considered British citizens before Australia? Yes, we were. You didn't even need a visa. We were British. We were British subjects until it changed.
Federation?
Yeah, Federation had officially changed. There was the Australian nation at that point, but we were still like British subjects, like not needing a visa or anything for quite a while after that. Now we need a visa. So good spirits talking about Irishmen holding their liquor. Don't get into a drinking competition with Irish, Scots, Germans, Just there's all these people you don't get into drinking competitions with.
Yes.
Stella, the English are the most maliciously racist people you've ever met. And look, they've only got a history that involves killing literally hundreds of millions of people. It's just, it's weird when you find out that there's the current ruling party in India traces its history back to a pro-Nazi party in World War II. And you're going, why were Indians pro-Nazi? And then you find out what England did in India over a period of a couple hundred years. And it's basically certain Indian nationalists went, this Hitler fella doesn't like England. He's probably a good guy then. From a certain point of view, it made perfect logical sense. Ultimately, not a good idea, but you can see where it's gone. Well, he doesn't like the English, so I already like him. So yeah. Oh, Moko Speed's working. Oh yeah. No, I should still be here in an hour. Yeah, that's okay. We'll see what's happening. It's I don't know if anyone. It's going to be different state to state, but it was kind of interesting to see the Victorian government press it today and say, "Here's the roadmap," and they're talking about, when we get 70%, it's this level of freedom, and 80% is this level of freedom, and I don't know. It's a mixed bag over the coming months, but I don't know. By December, it might be kind of okay. Abigail's doing meal replacements. 2 of my 3 meals today were meal replacements. Mrs. Angry made a fun one at lunch. She made a soup, because apparently with the meal replacement things, you can just eat veggies. So she makes a veggie soup. It's like mushroom and carrot, and it was fucking amazing. But one of the meal replacement things is a powdered soup, which Mrs. Angry tried, which is apparently really shit as a soup. But you can do this thing where you just mix it with a little bit of water and turn it into a paste, and then spread it really thin over baking paper and bake it at a really low heat in the oven for a long time, and then cut it up, and you've got these soup crackers. So my running joke is on Sundays, Mrs. Angry makes us wet soup and crunchy soup. So that's what I had for lunch. I had wet soup and crunchy soup. So yeah.
Did you see Christian Porter's gone?
Sorry, what was that?
Christian Porter resigned.
Oh yeah, yes. Scumbag Christian Porter actually resigned because it's like, yeah, if you literally take $1 million in a brown paper bag, that's bad. Abigail, what can we eat doing meal replacements? If you're being very tough and hardcore with meal replacements, Abigail, vegetables apparently don't count. You do the meal replacements, you can eat it as much vegetables and whatnot, and that doesn't count because the amount of fiber and whatnot in the vegetables counteracts any calories that are there. So, for instance, the soup I had today, which was pure vegetable soup with no sugars and stuff, that didn't count. Oh, sorry. Henry wants us to do the lyrics of Orgasmatron by Sepultura. Okay. I'm looking it up. Orgasmatron lyrics. There you go. Studio album by. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, that's a Sepultura song apparently. Okay, who were the only? What was the genre that Sepultura? But it wasn't death metal. I don't think it was some metal subset, and they were they were the only ones from that subgenre that I actually liked. So okay, these lyrics that Henry wants us to read. Okay,
I'm going to mute the stream for a second because my daughter's sitting next to me.
Oh yeah, mute the sound. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am the one orgasmatron, the outstretched grasping hand. My image is of agony, my servants rape the land. Obsequious and arrogant, clandestine and vain, 2,000 years of misery, of torture in my name. Hypocrisy made paramount, paranoia the law. My name is called religion's sadistic sacred whore. I twist the truth, I rule the world, my crown is called deceit. I am the emperor of lies, you grovel at my feet. I rob you and I slaughter you, your downfall is my gain. And still you play the sycophant and revel in my pain. And all my promises are lies, and all my love is hate. I am the politician, and I decide your fate. I march before a martyred world, an army for the fight. I speak of great heroic days of victory and might. I hold the banner drenched in blood, I urge you to be brave. I lead you to your destiny, I lead you to your grave. Your bones will build my palaces, your eyes will stud my crown. For I am Mars, the god of war, and I will cut you down. Okay, I don't know, Aussie Gone Bunny, I've stopped now. I've stopped now. So apparent also I heard the main guy in Sepultura might be a Nazi as well. So massive disclaimer. If that's true, then I disavow them. But yeah. Helly and hello, Kirsten, by the way.
That's just like Ace of Base. Apparently, they were all Nazis as well.
Yes, they were. Yes, Ace of Base were secretly sneaking Nazi ideology into pop songs. Yeah. It's weird. These people. Kirsten, I'm glad you're here because I was going to ask for advice on next thing because I actually finished a couple bottles this week. So it's like, oh, there's space on my drink cart. What should I get next? And I actually don't have that much rye whiskey left. I bought a bottle of rye from the Gospel, and I don't know how long that's going to last. So maybe what the next rye I should get is. Okay, Henry, thank you for. You reckon it's not true that the solidarity with Sepultura. Okay, that was just a vague thing I kind of vaguely remember hearing. But yeah, I certainly don't know it. So Henry's telling me Sepultura aren't Nazis, so that's good. Low bar, we're saying. We're just accepting people who aren't Nazis at the moment. That's ridiculous. But the world today, that's kind of where you go, okay, not an actual Nazi, so maybe I'll listen to them. And it's just so weird. And it's kind of like I've seen a couple people who are, you know, fancy themselves on the radical side of left, who are dangerously falling into this. Oh, I don't like the way the cops assaulted people at those anti-COVID protests, and lefties seem to be saying the cops are in the right. And I was like, no, two things can be true. The cops might be violent thugs, and it might be unacceptable what they do to protests, but I'm not having any sympathy or empathy whatsoever for those pieces. I mean, I love it when I see cops getting the fash and finally violently arresting the fash. I'm like, yeah. The Toy Collector of Seville, A, that's an excellent screen name. B, got a pirate joke. What be a pirate's... Yeah, of course. What be a pirate's favorite letter? You might think it be R, but a pirate's true love be the C. Okay, pay that. That is another dad pirate joke. We've had a couple dad pirate jokes tonight. I applaud it. Metal Maniac Band. How good was the weekend's protest? It was fucked up. It was just a whole amalgam of fucked up. These people who were doing the protesting are fucked up. Obviously, the cops are fucked up. Like, there's pictures and video of, I don't know, some old lady fell over next to him and the cops fucking sprayed pepper spray right into her face, which is clearly fucked up because the cops at protests are clearly fucked up. But that thing, that in Melbourne, that got so violent. That was really, really over the top. Oh.
The thing that really confuses me is that they had one of these freedom marches here in Townsville. We've had 2 lockdowns in the last however long this has been going on for, that have lasted like a week each. Like, we've got nothing to complain about up here, honestly.
No.
It's just,
But even when you look at what's going to happen in the coming months, various restrictions are going to be relaxed. And they're like, okay, we're not going to do lockdown anymore, but you can only go to certain venues if there's evidence you're vaccinated. So the fuckheads they're going to cause violent scenes at events and venues that are saying you can only come in if you're vaccinated. And they're going to come in en masse and cause a really violent event. That's inevitable because they're pieces of shit. Abigail, if you're doing meal replacement, you can eat all the veggies you want. When you're vegetarian, this doesn't mean you're actually doing meal replacement. Look, if the thinking is, if you just eat vegetables and you don't add fats, like if you don't add oils, animal fats, or sugar to what you're cooking, that's the only diet you need. If you have fruit has a lot of sugar, so you need to be conscious of how much fruit you eat. But if you're eating just a plant-based diet, if you keep an eye on the amount of sugar you consume and don't use too much oil or fats in the preparation of your vegetable meals, you don't need to worry about anything else. But of course, that's the fun thing. Like, people think vegan is automatically healthy. Oh no, you can be super fucking unhealthy and vegan. Sugar is vegan. Sugar is technically vegan, and you can be super fucking unhealthy and be vegan. But I feel like you want to say something.
I have a pirate joke for you. What does a dyslexic pirate say?
Oh, pirates say.
I'm getting the evil eyes at the moment because my daughter's dyslexic. I'm sorry, but this is funny. Rah! Sorry, Abby.
But you got to have a sense of humor. That's the same as AIDS is dyslexic, but he has a sense of humor about it. But yeah. Oh, yeah, no, Kirsten. Anyone who works in hospo who's going to have to deal with Karens, conspiracy freaks, and actual Nazis who want to cause scenes, that's going to be terrible. Nettie, hello. Henry, your bottle-o girl doesn't ask you what you want anymore. What happens if you go to the bottle-o then, if they don't ask you what you want? I use Kirsten as my barometer to what my next alcohol purchase should be. Because I've got one or two spaces of spectrum here. Dairy steals babies, whole food, plant-based. You raise a good point. If you are just eating fruit, like eating whole fruit, that's good. But what people tend to do is juice fruits and whatnot, and that's too much sugar. If you drink fruit juice, even if you take whole fruit and juice it, that's too much sugar. Oh, Sue. Okay, and I need to point out the username Andrew Murch is actually my sister Sue. Did someone blow vegans up? No, vegans are okay. Again, veganism is broadly speaking good. It's just that some vegans are dickheads, which you can virtually say about anything. It's like, oh yeah, that concept, that's cool. Some of the people who adhere to that concept, absolute dickheads. But yeah.
When they turned it into almost a religious and push on to everyone like as if they're Christians, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah. The one that gives me a problem is when the ones that say they won't eat honey because it's exploitation of bees, and it's like, okay, if there's some popular vegan things. If you eat quinoa, goji berries, or agave nectar, go fuck yourself, because the Western appetite for these things, where they talk about them being superfoods, because, oh, look, these indigenous people have eaten this for generations or centuries, and it's good for them. The trendy Westerners essentially steal it all from the people who've relied on it for generations, and it also ends up with overproduction, with bad agricultural processes to feed the Western appetite. And and it's terrible. So if anyone wants to start going, I don't eat honey because of the bees, I'm like, if I find out you eat quinoa, agave, or goji berries, I'm going to put you into a fucking wood chipper, because it's like you're going, the bees, but you're indulging in shit that ruins the lives of people and ravages the environment. So go fuck yourself.
Yes, Abigail, it was funny.
Oh, okay. Abigail had a dyslexia joke. Some sugars filtered through animal charcoal. Good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, see, Kirsten, who's my source of information for Australian distillers, saying there's not that many people doing right. Oh, what I might get, because I haven't had it, is Archie Rose's white rye, because that's an unaged white rye whiskey. So I've had Archie's rye. I'm just having a Gospel Rye. They're a Melbourne distiller that actually specialize in just making rye whiskies. The next one might actually be Archie's white rye, because that kind of sounds like fun, because it's an unaged white rye. So I think it's going to be really feisty. It's like moonshine almost.
Queen Curse, just to, you're saying almonds are terrible for the environment. Most farmed plants, so fruit and veg, wheat, rice, all of them are terrible for the environment. Not only because you have to have massive trappings of land to actually grow the plants, but also all of the wildlife that inhabit those areas are then killed off by the farmers because they don't want them to eat all those.
Yes.
So it's I don't know. It's just so you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah. I'm reminded of because I am old, and I was listening to original punks back in the day, and there was this interesting group. They released a bunch of records under the name Crass, because you had the Sex Pistols go, "Woo, I am an anarchist," and all that, and they were commoditized very early on. The people behind the punk band Crass were actually anarcho-syndicalist hippies who were already living in an anarchist commune, and they latched on to punk, and they released a bunch of really quite interesting punk records. And on one of their ones, they had a thing where they were talking about this idea, no matter what you eat, it causes some damage. And there was a lyric that was something along the lines of, you can't walk along the beach without leaving footprints in the sand. What we need to do is to minimize the damage we do, but don't beat yourself up, because existing has some impact on the environment. But so also I just remembered it's my sister under the username Andrew Murch, which is very weird, but anyway, that's her husband. It's Sue's birthday, so if everyone wishes Sue a happy birthday, so that's good. And Henry's saying the grandfathers of punk were an Afro-American band called Death. That wouldn't surprise me, because all the 70s and 80s punk, post-punk, new wave were all influenced by Caribbean music. The mods, it all came out of rude boy culture in the Caribbean. Punk and new wave was just borrowed super heavy from rude boy culture in the Caribbean. So yeah. Oh, sorry. Now I'm just drinking water. Like, I really enjoyed my old fashioned I had before, and I'm just drinking some cold water, and it's like, that tastes really good too. Water is great in certain contexts. But it's really funny, because the original skinheads weren't racists, weren't neo-Nazis. That was the Sharpies and one. They all came out of rude boy culture. which was Caribbean. It just, there was some horrible metamorphosis that happened in the 80s where the National Front in the UK got their claws into the skinhead scene because the skinheads were like disaffected youth. And it's happening in Australia and it's happening everywhere now. It's like disaffected white folks, and they're going like, hey, it's kind of shit and I'm kind of being fucked over. And you get these people going, yeah, and you notice how these people who aren't white say white people are bad. They're the ones who are bad. And because you get people who initially go, well, I'm not a bad person. I don't do bad things. Why is anyone blaming me? It's like, no. And I always want to say to the people who get sucked into like neo-Nazi ideologies, like, ugh, the people who sucked you in, they're your enemy. And I know they say, like, it can hurt. If you're not a bad person, if you've not been racist, if you've not been sexist, and you get non-white people saying, hey, white people won't stop fucking us over, and you get women saying, hey, men won't stop doing terrible things to us, and you go, but I'm a white man, and I haven't done anything wrong. What do you do? Yeah, but there's a bunch of white men who have done something wrong. It can be difficult. And because I'm, as Sue will back me up on this, we're country town white trash. we did not come from wealth. We did not come from wealth at all. Oh, you made your first bloody argument. We were having, we were going back and forth on Facebook Messenger. Like Sue's going like, how do you make a Bloody Mary? So I found all these really weird Bloody Mary recipes and like, find one that sounds good. So you made one and it was good. That's excellent. Good.
Yeah, no,
Celtic, I don't vape because I don't smoke anything.
I've unfortunately had a run-in a few years ago with neo-Nazis. And, very nearly got sucked in. They tend to like to hide behind ideologies, in particular Norse mythology and stuff like that.
Yes.
In America, it's really big in the prisons over there, but even here in Australia, there's a group that they call themselves Odinists, or folkish paganists. The ones that call themselves, and me being naive and not knowing like what these things meant, started calling myself, oh yes, I'm folkish paganist, like I like to, like small crafting stuff and things like that. And somebody said to me, I don't think that means what you think it means. I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't good. So yeah, they very quickly infiltrate and
it's like
corrupt.
We were talking before about the anti-lockdown protests and whatnot worldwide. That's actually instigated by far-right troublemakers. And look, I absolutely understand being pissed off about lockdowns and limitations and all these things. But the people who aren't actively fucking Nazis, essentially, are being manipulated by people who are actively Nazis. They basically find disaffected groups and infiltrate and go, yeah, you don't like this, do you? You know who's really responsible for that? Abigail saying subset of Jewish people who are skinheads go by the name Bruce. There was that funny thing a couple years ago because to be an Israeli citizen, you have to prove Jewish heritage. And they had this issue a couple of years ago, particularly with Russians who would trace like Jewish lineage, and they wanted to go to Israel because Israel was so anti-Muslim. They were literally, these people were strong adherents to Nazi ideology, but because they regarded the Israel policies as being about racial purity, they were all, it was so fucking strange. You're talking about Jewish skinheads. These were Jewish Nazis. It was very fucking weird.
Still, there's a lot there's a lot of issues. It's not just the Norse and the Celtic cultures though. Like they stole the swastika off the Buddhists and the I think
Yes.
Indians.
Yeah.
They stole from the Romans. The
Yes.
eagle
There
symbol.
was the Roman salute. The Sig Heil thing is called the Roman salute. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it, it's just that they take pieces of things that they think
Yeah.
people will identify with and use it to pervert and corrupt, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And Henry, holy shit. Um, yeah. I've actually, when I was serving in the army, one of the guys that I served with, his father was Hitler's youth. Um, and I asked him, what does your father think about you being in the Australian Army? And he loves it because he was conscripted right at the near the very end, and he was very much anti Nazis,
Yeah.
and he actually hid away during an ambush and was basically taken to custody by the Australian soldiers and became a prisoner. And he ended up actually working with the Australians to show them where bunkers and stuff were. But yeah, it's hit and miss with the
Yeah.
Hitler's Youth. Obviously, um, that's messed up though. Trying to make you read Mein Kampf.
Oh yeah, I was looking at that one from Henry. Mother from Finland, grandparents were Hitler Youth, tried to make you read Mein Kampf as a black man. That's a bit intense. Okay, Sue wants to tell a family story. And there are some pretty weird family stories. You reckon that we weren't that poor? We didn't know the difference. Oh, look, we didn't have luxuries. There are 10 kids in our family, basically. 11 if you count the mysterious sibling that we buried in the well in the backyard, Raymond. Did you miss that? It's a weird bit of family folklore. Someone made it up at some point that we have another sibling called Raymond, but he died and he got buried in a well in the back. It's just, there's this sort of thing that we got together at Christmas and everyone's having a few drinks and talking shit. And so that's the thing everyone talks about now. Yeah. So it's a weird thing. Oh, yeah. By the way, Sue, Mrs. Angry, who's a psychologist who deals with troubled people, because apparently we were confusing our oldest brother into thinking Raymond was possibly real, because I don't know. Okay, so Sue wants to tell us one that's not made up, by all means. But yeah, we may have convinced our older brother that Raymond was real, which is not healthy. And Mrs. Angry, who's a psychologist who deals with troubled people, says, no, you actually need to tell him Raymond's not real, because that's bad to mess with people's head to that degree. Oh, wow, Henry, you want to take me fishing? We used to do family holidays at the coast because, as I said, we grew up in Western New South Wales, like in the middle of Dubbo, in the middle of fucking nowhere. But we would once a year have our family holiday at the coast, usually somewhere around Port Stephens, which is it's kind of south of Newcastle. But we quite liked it. There was a family friend had this tiny little holiday home. It was literally a 1-bedroom place in a little town called Boat Harbour. So my parents had the 1-bedroom, and all the kids, which depending on ages, it varied between. I don't think there was ever more than 8 kids went there at once, but somewhere between 4 and 8 kids would be on this holiday, and we were just sleeping in sleeping bags on the lounge room floor. That was our holiday, because friends owned this place we could rent. But yeah, oh shit, Henry, Fingal Bay. I've been to Fingal Bay. Fingal Bay is nice. I like Fingal Bay. Yeah, when free travel and shit. I haven't gone anywhere up the East Coast for ages. Nettie, 8. Yeah, well, there were 10 kids, Nettie, but there's 15 years age difference between the oldest and the youngest. So I think maybe the oldest ones didn't go on the holiday when the youngest ones were on it. But yeah, it was literally it was this little holiday home we were in. There was one bedroom, a kitchen, and a quite large lounge room. And all the kids would just fucking sleep in sleeping bags in the lounge room. Sorry. Safa, Victoria is East Coast Australia. Victoria generally is East Coast Australia. Yeah, Nettie, 15 years of baby making. I don't know, country town Catholics, man. What else are you going to do? Didn't even have a colour TV till the late 70s. I don't think we had any TV in the 70s. I don't know. Because,
Angry, I'm going to have to head off, mate.
Thanks for coming on with the song tonight, though, mate. That was cool.
All good. I'll catch you guys all later. See ya.
All righty. See you later, man. Henry, you want everyone to move to far north Queensland. I like far north Queensland as a holiday destination. The tropics and the wildlife and the beaches and whatnot, but I don't think I could live there. I just like Melbourne, actually, because I grew up in the country. I lived in the country for 21 years. Then I lived in Sydney for 10 years, and now I've lived in Melbourne for 20 years. So, and I like Melbourne. I really like Melbourne. Nice, Safa. Your mum bought your first colour TV with a baby bonus when you were born. Well, that's nice. I remember my grandparents, which was my mum's parents, who lived literally across the road from us. They had a colour TV years before we did. And so we'd go over to their place to watch some special shows. And again, when I say colour TV, like the screen was like this fucking big. It was not a big TV. It's probably that big. Probably about that big. Like not maybe as big as my laptop screen. Maybe as big as my laptop screen, but not with the same resolution. Okay. So see, do I remember Mum got the shits with us, line us up against the wall. Dad got home from the pub, the belt and stuff. Sure, sorry, it's false. Oh my God. That's a bit. Yeah, I think we gave Mum the shits a lot because she was again, was there around 110 kids? My mum was basically in a constant cycle of washing clothes, and she insisted on ironing. So literally every night, my mum had an ironing board set up and would iron our clothes while watching TV. I don't fucking iron anything. I do wash clothes, but I don't iron them. So, Henry, you've lived all around Australia. You're like far north Queensland. That's your mecca. Fair call. Queen, Kirst, what other spirits to me? Okay, what am I thinking of? Maybe like a workhorse rum, an everyday rum rather than a special rum, because I've got some special rums. Next time I empty a gin bottle, I'll buy another gin, but I was thinking of getting one from Steve the bartender. I've only got one rye whiskey. That's from the Gospel. See, I've only got that much rye whiskey left. So I should maybe get another rye. I have a bunch of other whiskies. I don't need another whiskey, but maybe another rye. And maybe a rum. Henry, I think I'd love to visit far north Queensland. I don't think I want to live there, though. So Abigail, question. Do I know where bulldog clips have gone? No, I don't know where your bulldog clips have gone. Stella, your mum's from a family of 8 kids. So many cousins, like track of them. Yeah, I've got 30 cousins. I don't know how many cousins I've got. And the next generation, Jesus, the offspring of my siblings, I don't know, there's like 20 nieces and nephews. Henry, buy a 4-bedroom house for 300K. Yes, I know it'd be much cheaper to live up there, but it's just not the lifestyle I want. Abigail, you wanted me to find your bulldog clips because fucked if you know where they are. Yeah, I know that. I honestly know that feeling. At the fun one today, young Mr. Angry was trying to connect an older monitor to his laptop and stuff. And he's going, do you have any like optical cables and whatnot? And I went, okay, here are 3 boxes of cables. What can you find? Speaking of odds and ends, look who's popped in.
Odds and ends.
Odds and ends.
Odds and ends indeed. and if you're looking for an odd end, how you doing? I'm sorry I'm late. I had a thing to do.
That's fine. Yeah, no, I'm glad you came along. Yeah, like I fired off the link just on the off chance you were going to see it. And,
yeah, it was appreciated. I thought as I was doing my thing, I thought, oh, fuck, I didn't ask Andrew for a link. He'll
but I sent it anyway. Yeah.
He'll probably think I'm off burning down people's houses again.
Yeah.
And I was, but it's fucking, I don't know, man. Today's codes are weird. You know, you've got to have fire exits fucking everywhere. So getting around and nailing up the fucking doors is such a fucking hassle. I mean, it used to be to pour in the fucking lighter fluid through the fucking letterbox and whoomp, away it goes. You've got fucking ethnic cleansing on the way. But now you just got to get around and fucking nail up boards here and fucking nail doors shut there and fucking make sure that stairs are going to fall over. And it's like, oh, what a fucking hassle. But I am investing in a Stinger rocket launcher.
That's fair.
No fuss, fire in the hole.
Abigail has an Ask Easy question. Yeah, Abigail, you can jump on the stream. I put the link there before. I'll just put it again to make it easy for you. Abigail, I think, is saying she has an Ask Easy question. So,
wow, I'll try and make it quick.
And she might have a clarinet as well. I don't know. You missed earlier. Aussie Gun Bunny was singing traditional songs about recruiting sergeants. So that was fun. That was a bit different.
And there are some traditional songs.
Yeah, because when he said that, I came up with a Pokes one. I thought that one was talking about, and I did the lyrics for that. And he's going, "Oh, it's a different one." And he came in and sang a different one. So it's like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of sort of working class songs about war that go, "This is kind of fucked, isn't it?"
Yes, essentially. This guy's a bully, and I'm having a shit time.
And my legs just got blown off. I was like,
yeah, damn. Who's got some extra morphine? My turn.
So what have you been up to, in fact? With regards to stuff that's fit for public broadcast.
Yeah, fit for public broadcast. So what I've been doing is I've been don't look like it's a chore. What I've been doing is flicking back and forward between commercial writing and writing for us. And hello, Dr. Abigail. And
hello. Have you seen my glasses anywhere? I cannot find my fucking glasses. Maybe that's why I can't find my binding clips.
Are you dominant right or left-handed?
Right.
Okay, so take your right hand, put it up as far as it can reach, right? And then in a circular motion, look in that area and then push your right hand across you to your left and put it down.
Okay.
So while we're being helpful, I'm just posting a link to my
I have a question that I know I know the answer to this.
All right.
Found him. Thank you.
All right. There you go. I also just posted a link.
Hey, everyone's slightly less blurry.
She wants to change the screen name. That link is apparently on an Android phone, how you change your YouTube screen name. I have no idea if that works, but I just found it. So, Abigail, your question.
Okay, so my question to you, AD, if you know the answer to this, why are green stars impossible? Why is it impossible to have green stars in the universe?
My guess, and it's only a guess at this point, is green would require the burning of elements that are way beyond reasonable to burn, and you're talking about wavelength stretching that is really going to mess with a like a coloration filter is the quickest and easiest way. So I can say you got a white star and it's a long way away, like Sol, and it's a long way away because it's going away from us anyway, as all stars are. It'll go red, it'll redshift, and to have green, you've got to be sort of up in the blue end, and it'll redshift out down quicker. That's what's one thought. But the other thought is that the elements you've got to burn to have that star burn green would have to involve heavier metals. That's my thought.
Okay, so that's a good answer. It's fundamentally wrong, but I'll tell you why it's a good answer, because that's how fireworks work, by burning specific elements.
Yeah.
And that's how you get different color fireworks.
Yeah.
So the redshifting due to the Doppler effect is also affected by the actual answer, but it's not that reason either.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
So stars don't burn stuff. It's not combustion.
No.
So in fireworks, it's combustion, and combustion emits a certain wavelength of light depending on what element, and because electrons jump around shells and emit photons, and that's where the energy comes from. So stars are a nuclear reaction in the core, and the light they emit is basically black body radiation.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just an emission of black body radiation. It's a lot of it, but it doesn't emit through any other reason. And so,
and like for example, in the Earth, it takes like 1 million years for the photons to come from the fusion.
It's estimated that there are a significant number of photons in the core of the star of Sol, of our sun, that have been there since its birth and have not escaped, because it's just so thick and soupy.
Fast to go and they bounce all over the place. Yeah.
So the surface of the sun is opaque, right? So none of the photons around there are getting out. It's the surface that's emitting light, and that's black body radiation. And you look at the curve of what, depending on temperature. So
all of our friends know black body radiation is what you get when you say heat up a piece of iron, and it glows, and you let it cool down.
Yes. Right. So everything emits black body radiation.
It does.
And it's depending on temperature.
Yes.
And that's it. So the temperature of a star dictates the color of the star.
It really does.
And if you look at and there is a famous curve called the black body curve, or the Planck, uses the Planck function. And in the visible spectrum, you've got red at one end, green right in the middle, and blue on the end. And the curve kind of, like, I'll draw it on the screen here, kind of curves up, peaks, and then slowly goes down, but it kind of has a peak to it.
Okay.
And so when a star's temperature is too the the curve shifts the visible light to all the way across, and so it's still emitting blue and green light, but it's mainly emitting red light, and that's why colder stars are red. When a star is really hot, the opposite is true, mostly blue light. When it's dab smack in the middle at about 5,000 odd Kelvin, which just happens to be our star, about 5,400 Kelvin, the spectrum, the visible spectrum, is right in the middle where green is. But because the visible spectrum is so small, and that peak at that point, it's emitting all wavelengths of light at roughly the same amount, the same percentage. And so that green light just gets washed out by everything else. So there are no conditions. There are literally no conditions where a star can only emit green light, or like a high percentage of green light. And if you look at the physics, I watched a YouTube video about the fundamental constants of the universe today, because that's what I do in my spare time. I
doesn't.
I know, right? The Planck constant, the Planck function relies on certain constants in the universe, and when you're working out the curve and temperature, and you want to figure out like which wavelength of what temperature and what wavelength you need to just emit green light, it's actually all the constants just cancel each other out, and you're left with only like temperature and wavelength. And not only, it implies to me that not only is it literally impossible in this universe to have a green star, but across the multiverse, like the multiverse of different universal constants, it doesn't matter. Green stars are just impossible.
That's really full on, isn't it?
If
you think about your multiverse,
so I have a proposition as an art piece. We build a partial Dyson sphere of green filtered glass, or some sort of metamaterial of like that can withstand the temperature, and turn our star green simply as an art piece.
Nice.
You know what?
Yes, because that's the only way you could have one.
I reckon.
Stella, yes, absolutely. I would love to. So the only way to have see a green star is to do it artificially.
Artificially, definitely, but I reckon we get fucking smartassery with it, and we run thick carbon lines, Dyson style, around our sun, and fuck with the polarity of our sun. And we
reverse the polarity of the neutron.
What do you mean by polarity of the star, of the sun?
So we get our carbon lines running.
Oh yeah, the emission spectra. Oh, you want to upset the emission spectra of the sun just to mess with people.
Just to mess with people, yes.
Right. It's like, if you wanted to say, hey, intelligent life,
Well, okay, so I've got a reason why that would work and a reason why that wouldn't work. If you just had like carbon lines everywhere, it wouldn't affect the emission spectra because photons are smaller than that. But you could have just little like dust particles of whatever element you want, float them around the sun in like a Dyson swarm, and it will change the emission spectra of anyone light years away looking at it. So
I mean, I was only drawing up carbon lines just because I thought feasible in the next million years. But dust is nice.
We've got a lot of silicon and iron, so we should just
magnetic field lines to change the change the
that would mess up so much of our solar system.
well,
It would
yeah,
affect the solar
sure,
wind, and
sure, there
it
would be
would
some
affect
problems. There would be some
coronal mass
issues.
ejections. And,
Well, does Canada
yeah.
really need electricity?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, do they really?
And
need
there's no one in
electricity?
the South Atlantic anyway. So, like,
Well,
but Canada, I mean,
the
most of
North
it's a
Atlantic,
wasteland.
you know, is a place that could
Mm.
really use some tidying up. Technology
Yes.
wise. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Right.
You know,
I'm
there's
having a
far too many
convenience
flights
break, but-
between London and New York. They really don't need, I don't know, protection against solar wind.
Yeah.
You know, you can
So
paint
I've got
the
a
craft so that the top can be painted every time they go across. And you can have
Yeah.
500. You know, you just paint it on before you go out. You could have different colors. You could go out as purple or green or pink.
I'm a big fan of both purple and green, as you could tell by the colors of my hair.
And like, you know,
so I have another question for you.
Yeah.
You know how there's the classic question, why is the sky blue? And it involves Rayleigh scattering and nitrogen absorbing and scattering light. It begs the follow-up question: if nitrogen scatters those higher wavelengths of light at the blue end of the spectrum, well, isn't violet and purple higher than blue, and why isn't the sky purple?
Because of our eyes, sir. Because of our eyes,
ma'am. Thank you.
Well, I was going to go with sir and ma'am, and then human, and then individual, because I've been doing that to everyone lately. But you have a million on the joke, so it doesn't work very well with you. So don't worry about it. It's just been in my house.
Okay.
Everyone's been going sir, man, person, individual. So basically, we were talking about Rayleigh scattering. Yeah, it's your eyes. I remember when I was a kid and we used to swim outdoors all day in the blue sky and the sun, and our eyes would get burned, and the colors would change, and you'd see the sky as purple, and you'd see anything yellow as orange. You know, you'd see a lot of shifted color, and I found out later that what it was our eyes being UV burnt, and they were being sensitized to different forms of scattering. And one of the things that was really weird was you'd look at a flower and you'd see moire patterns on it, which was fucked up. Like, and that's what insects see all the time, because that's what it attracts the insects is the moire patterns on the petals. I mean, we humans look at flowers and think, oh, cool. But if you're an insect, you go, fucking psychedelic, man.
Yeah.
Fucking nectar out of this
because of the UV.
My mind. And you
because they can see into the ultraviolet spectrum.
Yeah, and so we got told when we were later on when we were swimming, this was fucking years after this effect used to happen. We got told if that was happening to go and get some sunglasses on and leave them on for the rest of the day. And we all got swim club sunglasses, and they were polarized to within an inch of their life, which is an ironic thing.
Which is nonsense. You can be polarized or not polarized.
Yeah, exactly. Polarization an inch. Anyway, these things were very heavily polarized to the point where you sort of see shadows of things, but it had to be like that because after about 2 hours of wearing the sunglasses, your eyes would go back to normal. Otherwise, the UV burn keep on going. And
Yeah, you don't want
I
that
know
to be
people
permanent.
my age who've had cataracts removed
Yeah.
because the UV burning
Can I?
when we were kids was just very bad. Please do.
So Safa asked the question, why is the grass green? Well, not all grass is green, for
That's
starters.
right.
We have a lot of
Some of it's
yellow
blue.
grasses here.
And blue.
Blue?
Bluegrass is my favorite. Yeah.
Bluegrass is blue.
but
I didn't believe it
plant-
until I saw it. It's actually blue.
But generally plants appear green, or the leaves appear green because of chlorophyll, the chemical that absorbs sunlight.
Yes.
Basically.
In simple terms. Also, just talking about chat, Henry Dar's been at me because he's very into the lyrics of a song called Orgasmatron by Sepultura. And I think he wants some reaction from the two of you to the lyrics. So, Henry, if you could clarify, because I think he wants me to read the lyrics again, because I did actually read them earlier. And I think...
I can just look them up instead of having to go through it again.
No, I don't
what's
want to
the song called?
It's called Orgasmatron by Sepultura. So
was it featured in Orgasmo?
I don't know, because I think Motorhead also had an album called Orgasmatron.
Okay. Sepultura Orgasmatron lyrics.
Micro USB wants cat wants to know if we have any cat or other treats for her.
I always have cat treats in my drawer on my desk.
There you go, nibbles.
And it to the point where, like, even me just opening this drawer summons Will's cat, who's not here at the moment. My cat's asleep. She only it responds to it Pavlov style when she's in the room. But
I refuse
that will summon Will's cat from anywhere. I'm surprised he's not like trying to get out of wherever he is now. Because I just opened it up, you know.
Yeah. I refuse to feed our cats because they do that instinctive reaction, because Mrs. Angry feeds them. So I just go, the cats appear to see you as food lady. It's like you walk anywhere near the food bowl and this aggressive meowing starts, and it's like, no. Okay, so Henry wants me to read you these lyrics, so I will.
Oh, okay.
I am the one Orgasmatron, the outstretched grasping hand. My images of agony, my servants rape the land. Obsequious and arrogant, clandestine and vain, 2,000 years of misery, of torture in my name. Hypocrisy made paramount, paranoia the law. My name is called religion, sadistic sacred whore. So this very much does seem, and because Sepultura was South American, it does very much seem to be about colonizers.
Yeah, I was about to say. It reminds me of the British, but they name it as religion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and because in different parts of South America, they had to do. Who did they have to deal with? The Spanish, the Dutch,
Spanish and Portuguese.
Portuguese is very much the Spanish and Portuguese, wasn't it? Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
Who were very, very Catholic.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Slightly.
Extremely Catholic.
Micro USB wants to drop the kids off at the school and join us. We got about 10 minutes. I'm going to bed in about 10 or 15 minutes. Just remind me of one of my favorite web comics is the old nerd one, XKCD. And there's one from
I love XKCD.
That's been running for like 15 or 20 years or something. It's amazing. And there's a really old one where he said, like, oh, my new hobby is to like reverse certain metaphors. So I say something really offensive when I'm doing something innocent. So dropping the kids off at the pool means taking a shit. And so he's saying, I prefer to say to people, I'll see you later. I'm just doing a shit. what? I have to take my kids to their swimming lesson. You know, literally dropping the kids off at the pool. All right, Henry wants me to read the rest of the lyrics. So the second verse is, I twist the truth, I rule the world, my crown is called deceit. I am the emperor of lies, you grovel at my feet. I rob you and I slaughter you, your downfall is my gain. And still you play the sycophant and revel in my pain. And all my promises are lies, all my love is hate. I am the politician and I decide your fate. And then there's one more verse. I march before a martyred world, an army for the fight. I speak of great heroic days of victory and might. I hold a banner drenched in blood. I urge you to be brave. I lead you to your destiny. I lead you to your grave. Your bones will build my palaces. Your eyes will stud my crown. For I am Mars, the god of war, and I will cut you down. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's a South
Sounds
American
like someone
who's had enough of colonizers.
hates, yeah, religious colonizers. Yeah.
Micro thinks AD looks
think
tired, high,
it's sweet.
introspective. It's got to be tired. AD is mainly tired at the moment.
No, I think it's sweet.
Yeah.
I think there's something in that for all of us, and I think it's something that the kiddies should learn. Great too.
Yeah.
Maybe water the language down, but keep the content intact.
I don't know. I think sprinkling a few fucks and slaughters in a
Yeah,
poetry,
a bit of rape here and there is
poetry,
appropriate.
Can really spice up your listening for your kids who are on the reading rug. It stops them going to sleep straight away, but it does settle them a little bit. Yes. I've listened to a bit of Sepultura, and I'd say that they're discontent young fellows. And I'd say that they've spread their discontent through a number of albums. They're not backward in coming forward.
No.
With their
They were the only sort of screamo metal band I liked, actually. I was just looking. The other one I remember was Roots, Bloody Roots, and I just looked up the lyrics to go, was there anything deeper in the lyrics than that? No, not really. I just looked them up.
I knew someone in my very late teen years who strangely requested that Roots, Bloody Roots be played at her funeral, and 3 months later she died. And it was like she had an epileptic fit. She was quite large of a person. She had an epileptic fit, and she was on her tummy, and she swallowed her tongue and choked. And died. And they played, because she said 3 months earlier, play that song at her funeral, and it was
random shit.
Yike.
Like who's that guy from Mitchell who on holidays like fell only about a meter from some rocks but hit his head? Tim, it's just like it's really popular. You always think something big's going to kill you. This guy just near a coastal area, he's climbing on some rocks and he fell, and it was only a meter or two, but because he just like right on a susceptible part of his skull, and
it was right on the back of his head and cracked his skull, and he had instant hemorrhage and died. He was a superstar of the college, and he had started his own touring circus using money that he'd made from his major work, which was a howling success.
Can I make a request that you,
Abigail?
Could you post the quote I did of myself just recently for AZ to see?
Okay. Yeah, so AZ sees it. Yeah, it's that one.
Bit of rope here and there is appropriate. It is really.
That's if you're going to make history.
I just took my own quote out of context, and I love it. Also, like how easy were the circumstances of Raymond's death? Like I imagine
it was. I think he just, he, like my sister was saying earlier, in extreme cases, if my mum had the shits with us, she'd line us up, and my dad would give us the belt one after the other. Raymond just pushed things too far, and as an example to others, ended up being buried in a well in the backyard. So it's like it's the way it goes. So, there's someone's been asking the age-old question of why the nickname AIDSy. It's partly because the name's Adrian, but we both came of age in the 80s at the height of the AIDS crisis. And it's sad to say, if your name was Adrian going into the 80s, everyone was going to call you AIDS. There was no two ways about it.
Everyone that was Adrian was AIDS.
So he embraced it, basically.
Yeah. And I kind of liked it because I didn't like Adrian very much. Then as I left college and went into comedy, I was still AIDS. I was Adrian on stage. And then I was AIDS to everyone else, and then I was AIDSy. Hey, come over here. What are you doing, man? I need you to do a thing for me. We all got to line up and do star jumps and do this thing. Oh, okay. Because that was how shit was run back in the day, and no rehearsals. Let's just go. And so all the comics were calling me AIDSy, and then that followed me to Melbourne, and then I was AIDSy, but for some strange reason, my stage name was always Adrian Calais. And then everybody just knew me as AIDSy. So my real name was AIDSy, and my stage name was Adrian. I don't understand it either.
Micro USB, that's my message notification tone on my phone. It's the chirp from the Kirk era communicator.
Yeah, communicators.
My son just sent me a text message.
Yeah,
that's what.
I also remember from older than us, but Adrian Edmondson made a big point of having his stage name be ADE, Aid Edmondson, and it was for exactly the same reason. The AIDS crisis hit in the 80s, and if your name was Adrian, people were going to call you AIDS. So he made a big point of the shortened version of his name was ADE. It was Aid Edmondson. But it was basically, it was unavoidable. That was the 80s.
And apparently everyone at college called him Aid as well.
Yeah.
Aid or Aid. And his wife, who is Jen Saunders,
yeah,
call him Aidy. And I also get called Drini occasionally, because one of my girlfriends at college called me Drini, especially when she was pissed, like Adrian Drin. Drini, take me home. I'm really pissed. Take me home, Drini. Drini, I need some food. You got to give me some food, Drini. And so a lot of the girls were calling me Drin or Drini. And that was a thing for a while. And occasionally I still get called Drini from some people. But that was how AIDS came about. AIDSy was just an Australian lengthening of a contraction. As we like to do.
So who's Henry Doe? Is that someone you know? That's someone related to you? Is that angry?
No. They've just been in the chat occasionally over time. I don't know them specifically.
Okay. Sure, because they're. I mean,
they're a bit obsessed with language. Those lyrics.
Well, they're obsessed with those lyrics, but the language they've used to request you to read them, and B, us to give our opinions on them. I don't know. That comes off to me. Maybe I'm just being very aspy tonight, but it's like they're coming off as kind of demanding, and I'm not a monkey on an organ grinder. And
But Adrian
You
is.
are,
So
though,
that
Dr.
is.
Abigail. You are. I have seen you in your pretty costume, jumping up and down the leash. I have seen you do it. I have seen that young queer kid grind the handle too. Who's that?
it was a metaphor.
Well, there's the message now.
It was
You know,
yes.
I don't want to do it. Matey, come on. We've all seen you give it a minute. Dr. Abigail.
Look. If you ask me a question about science, astronomy, astrophysics, computer science, chemistry, Lord of the Rings or Star Trek, or even Magic the Gathering, I will dance. I will dance monkey dance. But asking me about song lyrics, yeah, I guess. I'm not that invested.
But I mean, you know, at the same time, you are invested in religion and its aspects in society and science.
Yeah. I am aware of the destructive nature that religion has had on society for the past few thousand years, as well as some of the beneficial aspects. But I got to say, more disastrous than not. And yeah, this song, I see truth in it. That's all I really have to say. And micro USB. I'm a Trekkie. I have watched Star Wars, and I know disturbingly a lot about the lore of Star Wars, but I'm not that big into Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'm long and prosper, Celtic King.
I'm probably more into Star Wars. Yes. Good night, Celtic King. I'll be going in a minute or two as well.
Yes. So Henry, I'm an atheist, and I don't believe we come from nothing. But just because I believe that doesn't mean God did it.
You have sort of more a panspermia kind of.
I don't panspermia.
Well, it's the idea of of life, or at least
of comets and
coming in, rising comets,
from other planets. I mean, we could be Martians. There's no way to prove it. I believe in like provable thing. I don't know. As a scientist, you don't really believe you disprove and you look for evidence, and like you always keep an open mind that like things have to be disprovable to be believable, which is it sounds like a contradiction, but it's one of the cornerstones of science. If something is not disprovable, then you can't prove it. That's what's his name? Russell's teapot. I think it was Russell.
Oh, that Bertrand Russell's teapot orbiting.
Teapot. Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't think I think we come from evolution, and from there we came from amino acids getting together and having a party time. And
my big one,
6 billion years ago.
My big one, and I'm throwing it out there just before bedtime, is when I look at the stuff and read the stuff that people far smarter than me have researched and write about, and I'm talking even pre-life on Earth, I'm talking about the universe. To me, the only thing that explains the universe is our common perception of time as progressing in a linear fashion is wrong. It's where we as humans are only able to perceive time in terms of linear progression because we can't move back and forth. We can't even go sideways. It just happens in a linear progression. But the only thing that explains the universe is that perception of time is fundamentally flawed. And it's just we're letting our perceptions limit our understandings. And there are theoretical physicists and whatnot who've gone way beyond that. They've gone, oh, no, there's this shit and there's this shit. And it's cyclical and it falls in on itself. Yeah.
Let's not forget that it's been proven that not only can something come from nothing, but something comes from nothing all the fucking time. Like it's happening inside you, in the universe, everywhere, at a quantum level.
But the fun thing is something turning into nothing. That's
something turning into. Well, that's impossible. That's why we have dark energy.
But that's
a can of worms right there.
That's a perception thing, yeah. And it's bedtime.
Okay.
Good night. Live long and prosper.
I just wanted to throw out heavy shit
you,
just
Stella.
for bedtime. So see you all later. Throwing out some heavy shit just before bedtime.
Love you all.
See you all later. Tuesday, okay? Back on Tuesday.